Hi, this is Ferre with TaxSaleSupport.com with another video in our Tax Sale Fundamentals series. So for this video, we wanted to talk about tax lien roll-up. A fairly simple topic here, but let's make sure everybody understands exactly what it is and how to determine it and find it. First, what exactly is it that we're talking about? Let's determine a couple of basic facts here so that everybody understands it more clearly. First off, when we're talking about tax lien foreclosure, every tax lien has the power to foreclose on property. That is part of what gives tax liens so much power and also what gives them security as an investment. Now, the tax lien can only be used to foreclose on the property, though, after a redemption period has expired. So, a single property can have multiple liens against it. And that's because most tax liens represent a single year's worth of delinquent taxes, penalties, and fees. So tax liens can be issued every single year. Now, in most cases, if you buy a tax lien from a county, especially if you're a first position lien holder, meaning that you buy the first lien that's actually created against a property, counties will oftentimes contact those individuals if a second lien is created and ask them if they would like the opportunity to purchase it. And if they do, they're able to buy it and earn the maximum interest rate return. But it also makes sense as an investment for another reason, which we'll talk about here with the roll up. Now, I mentioned that any tax lien can be used to foreclose on a property, and that's because you can have multiple liens against the same property. So the question is, how do you know which one is it that can be used to foreclose? And yeah, the answer is all of them have that power to foreclose, but they're also all restricted by the redemption period. They have to wait out that redemption period. But if you have two different liens and the redemption period has expired on both of them, then it's just a matter of which one files for foreclosure first. Now, the reason why that doesn't oftentimes happen is because most of the time when the redemption period expires, the party that owns the lien will initiate that process and will begin to pursue foreclosure. But if they don't, so let's say they just sit on it and wait it out anyway, their lien is still a good secure investment. However, if they wait for that entire year, let's say that they wait for an entire year, what that means is that if somebody bought the lien for the second year. So let's say that the county offered you the lien, but you declined, didn't want to buy it. So they sold it to another investor. There are now multiple liens against that property that exist. Now, if your redemption period comes to an end and you wish to pursue foreclosure, one of the requirements of foreclosure, which is a judicial foreclosure, it's one that's being done through the courts according to state law, one of those requirements is that the taxes are current. Okay, and this is actually for a couple of reasons. The property itself can't actually be foreclosed on while a lien is still exists against property because the liens prevent the transfer of ownership. So that brings up the roll up. And really, what we're talking about here is the delinquent taxes that are still owed on the property that need to be paid off in order to foreclose on the property. So let's say that you begin to pursue foreclosure on the property, and most of foreclosure is about notifying parties with a financial interest in the property about this impending foreclosure. Let's say that they complete that part of it, and now they're prepared to transfer over ownership, but what they find is there are still taxes that are owed. Well, you'd be required to pay that amount off before you could actually foreclose on the property. This is what's known as the roll up. Now, if you're dealing with, let's say, Florida in this case, and that second lien was purchased by somebody else, then your roll up may consist of just that other lien that you opted not to purchase. Okay. And so if you wanted to foreclose, the county would essentially say, okay, well, here's the amount you need to pay. And that amount would be reflective of the tax lien plus the penalties and fees that were owed. So it's that tax lien amount that essentially you'd be paying off in order to transfer over ownership. Now, for that lien holder, it is redemption. That's lien redemption is basically what they experience. The lien is redeemed. They get a check in the mail for their initial investment plus the interest that they've earned up to that point. The roll-up is always something you want to consider when you're looking to invest into liens, because liens only have two possible outcomes, really. You have either redemption or foreclosure. And redemption is what occurs the vast majority of the time. But if it doesn't and you need to foreclose on a property, then you want to be sure that you understand what's required in order to foreclose and that financially it's worth it to you. So when you're looking at a tax lien, you want to be able to identify what other liens may exist against the property and what would be required in order to actually foreclose. So I want to show you a quick example of how we might do that. This is the main site for Sarasota County, their tax collector, with the over-the-counter tax liens that they have available. They have county-held tax liens that you can basically preview here and purchase. So I wanted to use one of these as an example. Now you can organize the list based on amount, which I like to do, and sometimes I'm interested in the big liens to see what exactly they are and what they represent. So one of the first liens we see listed here is for $1.8 million. We can see the certificate number. We can see that it's for tax year 2015, certificate year 2016, and that it is active. So it's still currently available. So let's take a look at exactly what this property is. If we click on the link, it pulls up the property record for us for Sarasota County, which gives us some information, but it's limited in the information that it provides. We can essentially see the legal description. We can see some of this information here off to the right, the ownership information below, and we can see the assessment down below, which estimates the property to be worth $4.2 million. But it doesn't really tell us a lot about this. It tells us that that it is property use right now is AG, agricultural, grazing, land, soil, capability class. So if we wanted to find more information here about it, we wanted to figure out what the roll-up on this property is, what would we do? Well, first off, one of the first things I always do with properties is I'm always looking for additional features, things that might tell me what the property is like and where it's located. And the map is usually the best way to do that. So I look for some type of a map feature as just an order of habit, something I always do. So you can see here on the left side, I have an arrow pointing there to their map feature. And then the other side of it here is to determine the actual roll-up. What we're looking at there is the delinquent taxes that are still owed on the property. So we're looking for specifically tax records. We need records that are related to the tax collector for this property. So we've got two different links we're going to check out here real quick. The first link pulls up their map system, which enables us to see about where this property is located and also what the property is. So we can see from here we're looking at a very large parcel of land that doesn't appear to have been developed in any way. And we can at least get an idea of where it's located here based on this information. Now the other record that we're looking at pulls up the tax record for this particular property. And the tax record is going to tell us basically what money has been collected on this property and where it goes. So if we're looking at this, we can read through the information here. As we scroll down this page, though, of the tax collector information, we get towards the bottom of it, we can see the prior year's taxes that are due. And you can see here that this particular property has taxes that are owed for 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, and 15, okay? Totaling an amount of $13.3 million. So that would be considered the roll-up on this particular property, meaning that it is a significant amount, especially when you consider that the property that we're looking at here was only estimated to be worth $4.5 million. So the roll-up here basically means that taxes on this property have not been paid forever. They haven't been paid for a very long time, and that if you wanted to foreclose on this property, that would be the amount required in order to foreclose. It would basically mean that this would be a tax lien to absolutely stay away from. And that's because you could buy this tax lien for that amount, for that $1.8 million, but The only way that you can pursue this, if it doesn't just redeem on its own, would be to try to foreclose and come up with that $13.3 million, which the property is obviously not worth. So this is a good example of the type of tax lien you would want to avoid because of that roll up. So county websites vary dramatically, and the way that they have their websites structured with different types of records is also varies widely. So you need to become familiar with how the county website works in the county they're working in. But specifically, you're looking for the record here of their past tax payments and what might still be owed, so that you can determine exactly what the roll up is, which is something you want to look at every time you look at a tax lien to potentially buy. The vast majority of liens redeem, but if they don't and you need to foreclose on the property, you want to make sure that you understand exactly what's required in order to do that. So always check the roll up on a tax lien prior to making an investment. If you enjoyed this training and you'd like more, you can subscribe here to get more videos. But also, if you'd like to get more information or even a free ebook, you can go to our website, secretsoftaxlieninvesting.com or taxsalesupport.com. Thanks so much for watching.